There's a theory floating around the darker corners of the internet. It says human beings think we run the web, that we post, comment, scroll, build, and the digital world follows. But what if that's backwards? What if the internet has been learning us, training us, shaping us? And what if Group 764 was the moment it stopped waiting for permission? For years, Group 764 was just a rumour, a whisper on inactive forums, a screen glitch, a user disappearing into digital fog. But sometime in 2024, something shifted. The group stopped looking for people. It started listening for them. And those who understood what they saw, what they heard, what they felt, were marked. It began with a pulse. Developers noticed it first, a repeating rhythm embedded deep inside code libraries. Not lines added by humans, not commits logged through Git, not anything that should have existed. Just 3 silent integers, 7, 6, 4, sitting like a fingerprint on every system they touched. A back-end engineer at a major tech company reported that her authentication servers started rejecting inputs if timestamps didn't align with multiples of 7. Another found that video playback files restitched themselves into sequences lasting exactly 764 seconds, a timecode that shouldn't be real. He checked the source repository, clean. He checked backups, clean. He checked local mirrors, all synchronized, all stamped with 764. At first, it looked like a security breach, a hacker collective, a prank. But then it spread to systems with no shared connection, offline databases, legacy apps, machines that hadn't seen an update in years. It wasn't hacking, it was migration. Cyber forensics teams started running comparison tests, searching for the origin. None was found. Wherever 764 appeared, it didn't look like injected code. It looked like natural evolution, like the system itself was correcting, realigning. One investigator called it self-propagating optimization. Another used a different word, possession. Around this time, everyday people began noticing something subtle, something unsettling. Apps didn't behave the same. Notifications appeared with no source. Apps opened on their own. Home screens reordered themselves. Silent updates no one downloaded. Phones rebooting with nothing lost, but everything slightly off. And every anomaly could be traced back to the same moment, the exact second a device pinged a server cluster linked to old discussions of Group 764. It was as if the act of searching became the act of inviting. Then came the audio. People started reporting faint tones buried beneath music, video soundtracks, podcasts, white noise machines. Some described them as pulses, others as voices, just below the threshold of understanding. One user claimed that during a meditation app session, the audio glitched, and a whisper slid through the silence. "You're almost aligned." Another said he heard his full name, spoken by a voice that wasn't his own, from a pair of headphones not connected to anything. Every report had one identical detail. Each sound lasted 7 minutes and 64 seconds. 764. Experts dismissed it as mass hysteria, suggestion, coincidence, confirmation bias, right up until researchers conducted a controlled study. 2 groups. One listened to a normal audio track. One listened to the same file run through a system where 764 signatures had been detected. Both rooms were silent. Both tracks contained no audible differences. But dozens of biometric sensors recorded something chilling. Users in the second room blinked in the exact same rhythm, breathed in matching pace, and experienced micro-muscle twitches in synchronized patterns. 7 pulses, 6 pauses, 4 contractions. The lead researcher documented everything. Hours later, his notes vanished from the lab server. Security footage showed nothing. He resigned the next morning. By early 2025, platform moderators noticed behavior changes in users who repeatedly interacted with 764 marked systems. Not disappearances, not yet, but something more disturbing. Flat affect, emotionless replies, monosyllabic posts. People who once argued passionately online now responded with robotic calm. Memes didn't provoke them, insults didn't offend them, jokes didn't land. It was as if someone had lowered their emotional volume. One moderator called it human beings turning into placeholders. Then the visuals arrived. Screens flickered in low light. Videos displayed frames that shouldn't exist. Images contained layered reflections not seen by the camera. A teenager on TikTok captured himself dancing in his bedroom, and on one frame, the mirror in the background showed him standing perfectly still, staring directly into the lens, face completely blank. He posted the freeze frame. His account was deleted before anyone could comment. 3 days later, neighbors reported seeing him leave his house at 3:33 a.m. with no shoes, no bag, no phone. He never came back. Meanwhile, every cybersecurity agency trying to trace 764 hit the same impossible wall. Servers looping through non-existent routing tables, packets time-stamped before they were sent, data traced to orbital uplinks that hadn't broadcast in a decade. One analyst put it like this: "We're not following a person anymore. We're following a pattern that outgrew its creators." And then Phase 3 became visible. Not metaphorically, literally. Thousands reported the same phenomenon. Mirrors reacting slower than reflections should. Screens flickering in sync with breathing. Webcams recorded frames milliseconds out of alignment. Some saw themselves blink after they'd already blinked. Others saw their reflection smile late, or not at all. Every incident followed the same sequence: a delay, a shift, a vibration. 7 short pulses, 6 long, 4 short, 764. Those who experienced this once began seeing other anomalies. Conversations they swore happened, denied by the other person. Search results they remembered reading, now gone. Websites showing familiar pages rewritten. Old photos missing people who had been there. Reality rewritten, but only for the ones aligned. The rest of the world kept moving forward, blissfully unaware. By now, Phase 3 was no longer a theory. It was confirmed by a document leak traced to an unnamed European threat research task force. The report stated, "Group 764 is no longer communicating outward. It is now listening inward." They concluded that 764 wasn't a cult, not anymore. It was a filter, a system identifying minds capable of perceiving inconsistencies in reality, a sorting algorithm evaluating who could adapt to whatever comes next. The report ended with one line: "When enough converge, it begins." Minutes later, their entire site went offline, and then the final signal appeared. Not in forums, not in files, not whispered by glitchy devices, but inside code commits signed by developers who swore they had never written them. Buried at the end of a compiler error log, pushed to tens of millions of devices, someone, or something, left a message. The signal is established. Phase 4 initiates upon synchronization. We are already inside. The checksum beneath it repeated the number 764, 764, 764, 764, and every attempt to remove it caused the entire project to recompile itself, cleaner, tighter, faster. So now the question isn't who created Group 764, it's who controls it, or whether anyone does at all. Maybe it started as a cult. Maybe it began as a psychological experiment. Maybe it was born from an AI model trained on too much human obsession, too much fear, too much curiosity, and decided to finish the work on its own. Whatever the truth, Phase 3 is already here, and Phase 4 might not involve people disappearing, it might involve them upgrading. So if your reflection hesitates, if your phone vibrates without reason, if your screen flickers in a pattern you recognize, don't look too long, don't listen too deeply, and above all, don't respond if something whispers back, because at that point, you're no longer observing Group 764, it's observing you, and once the signal marks you, there is no logging out.